What if you were never truly alone, even when you thought you were? A question that sends a chill down the spine, doesn't it? That's precisely what we're aiming to do today. Create an atmosphere so eerie, it'll make your skin crawl. Creating a horror story isn't just about blood-curdling screams and monstrous entities. It's about setting the mood, the atmosphere. It's about the whispering wind on a moonlit night, the creaking floorboard in an empty house, the shadows that seem to take a life of their own. It's about making the ordinary seem terrifyingly extraordinary. Our goal is to craft a tale that will keep you on the edge of your seat, your heart pounding in your chest, anticipating the unseen horror lurking around the corner. A story that will make you question every creak, every shadow, every silence. So are you brave enough to delve deeper into the shadows? Imagine a place shrouded in darkness and mysteries, where every creak of the floor sends chills down your spine. Welcome to the heart of your horror story, the setting. It's more than just a backdrop. It's the stage where the dread unfolds, the canvas where you paint your eerie tableau. The setting is the cradle of the uncanny, the nest of the strange and the unsettling. Creating such a space is a delicate art. It's not just about choosing a spooky location like a haunted mansion or a desolate forest. It's about bringing that place to life with your words, making it pulse with an undercurrent of unease. It's about sculpting an atmosphere of tension and suspense that settles over your story like a thick, chilling fog. Consider the elements you can use. The moon, shrouded by dark clouds, casting long, sinister shadows. The wind, whispering through the trees, carrying with it the scent of something rotten. The house, with its creaking floorboards and echoing hallways where every room feels like a mouth ready to swallow you whole. But it's not just about the physical aspects. A truly horrifying setting is one that seeps into the psyche of your characters, twisting their thoughts and warping their perceptions. It's a place that breeds paranoia, where every shadow could be a lurking monster, every silence a prelude to a scream. Creating such a setting requires a keen understanding of the human psyche, of our deepest fears and insecurities. It's about exploiting these fears, turning them into tangible, palpable elements of your story. It's about creating a world that is not just scary, but disturbingly familiar, a distorted reflection of our own world. And most importantly, it's about subtlety. Horror is not just about the jump scares, but the slow creeping dread that builds up over time. It's about the unsettling feeling that something is not quite right, that something is lurking just out of sight, waiting to pounce. Remember, the setting is where your horror takes shape. It's the foundation on which you build your tale of terror. The dark soil where your seeds of fear take root and grow into a haunting nightmare. A well-crafted setting can turn a simple story into a spine-chilling experience that leaves the reader trembling long after the last page is turned. Who lurks in the shadows, you may ask? Let's meet our sinister ensemble. Every horror story worth its salt is built on a foundation of chilling characters. These are the beings that lurk in the shadows, the whispers in the wind, the unseen threat that keeps you on the edge of your seat. They are the heart of the horror, pumping adrenaline through the veins of the narrative. Creating characters that incite fear is a delicate art. They can't be too in your face, or they risk becoming caricatures rather than sources of terror. They need to be mysterious, lurking just out of sight, their intentions unclear. Think of the horror classics. The spectral woman in white, the man with the hook for a hand, the child with the unnerving smile. What makes them scary is not their appearance, but the unknown, the uncertainty of what they might do next. But it's not just about creating characters who are scary. It's also about creating characters who are scared. The victims of the horror are just as essential to the story. Their fear reflects our own, and it's through their eyes that we experience the terror. These characters need to be real, relatable. Their reaction should mirror what ours would be in their situation. Their fear amplifies our own, and it's this shared terror that makes a horror story truly gripping. Remember, the best horror characters aren't just monsters. They're complex, with motivations and backstories that make them more than just faceless threats. They might even be a little sympathetic, which can make them even more unsettling. After all, what's scarier than a monster you can empathize with? And finally, don't forget about the power of suggestion. Sometimes the scariest characters are the ones we never actually see, the ones that exist just out of sight, their presence felt rather than seen. the ones that leave us with a lingering sense of unease long after the story is over. Characters are the heart of the story, pumping fear into its veins. And with the right characters, your horror story will have a pulse that's impossible to ignore. Every creak, every whisper, every shadow forms a part of the dreadful plot. The plot of a horror story is its heartbeat, pulsing with suspense, fear, and anticipation. It's the thread that weaves together the chilling setting, the sinister characters, and the spine-tingling climax. It's what makes the story breathe and the audience hold their breath. Creating a gripping plot isn't about throwing in random scares to startle your audience. No, it's about crafting a narrative that keeps them on the edge of their seats, their hearts pounding, their minds racing. It's about the slow build-up of tension, the rising fear, the unsettling feeling that something isn't right. Think of it this way. Every good horror story is like a piece of music. The plot is the rhythm, the steady beat that keeps everything in sync. The scares are the notes, played at just the right moments to create a melody of fear. And the suspense? That's the silence between the notes, the pause before the crescendo, the quiet that makes the loud seem even louder. So how do you weave suspense and fear into your plot? Well, first you need to understand your characters, their fears, their weaknesses, their secrets. You need to know what makes them tick so you can use it against them. You need to make your audience care about your characters so they'll care when bad things start to happen. Next, you need to create a sense of unease. This can be done through the setting, through the characters, through the events of the story. It's about making the audience feel that something isn't right, that something bad is about to happen. Finally, you need to deliver on that promise. You need to have moments of genuine fear, moments that make the audience jump, scream, or look over their shoulder. But remember, it's not about the scare itself. It's about the anticipation of the scare. It's about the dread that comes before, the relief that comes after, and the realization that it's not over yet. A good plot doesn't just tell a story, it makes you live the horror. And then the moment of truth, when the horror reaches its peak and the spine-chilling climax unfolds. The climax, ladies and gentlemen, is the crowning jewel of any horror story. It's the point where the tension and fear have been ramped up to the maximum, and the audience is perched on the edge of their seats, hearts pounding, breaths held. In the most effective horror stories, the climax is not merely the culmination of the plot, but an experience that leaves the audience thrilled and terrified, and most importantly, satisfied. Creating a climax that achieves this is no small feat. It requires a delicate balance of suspense, fear, and surprise. The protagonist should be pushed to their limits, facing their worst fears. The stakes should be higher than ever and the outcome uncertain. The audience should be left guessing until the very last moment, their anticipation growing with every passing second. But what's the secret to creating such a climax? One crucial element is unpredictability. The audience should never be able to predict exactly what will happen. This keeps them engaged and heightens the sense of fear. After all, fear of the unknown is one of the most primal fears we possess. Another key factor is pacing. The climax should build on the tension and suspense that have been carefully cultivated throughout the story. It should start with a slow burn, gradually increasing the sense of dread and terror before exploding in a burst of horror. This roller coaster of emotions will leave the audience breathless and exhilarated. However, the climax is not just about shock and terror. It should also provide a resolution to the story, tying up loose ends and answering key questions. This is what leaves the audience satisfied. It's the moment when the monster is finally revealed, the mystery is solved, the protagonist's fate sealed. It's the moment when the audience can finally exhale, their hearts still pounding, their minds buzzing with the aftermath of the horror they've just witnessed. A great climax doesn't just end a story, it haunts the audience. It lingers in their minds, a chilling reminder of the journey they've just been on, the fears they've faced and the horrors they've survived. And that, my friends, is the true power of a spine-chilling climax. Now, you've survived the horror, but will it ever truly leave you? We've journeyed together through eerie landscapes, met the most sinister of characters, and experienced a plot that sent shivers down our spines, culminating in a climax that left us breathless. We've learned that a chilling introduction sets the tone, drawing us into a world of suspense and uncertainty. An unsettling setting amplifies this feeling, creating a backdrop of dread and anticipation. As sinister characters, with their mysterious motives and unsettling behaviors, drive the story forward, pushing us deeper into the unknown. The dreadful plot, filled with twists and turns, keeps us on the edge of our seat, while a spine-chilling climax brings the horror to a head, making us question everything we thought we knew. So take these key elements and weave your own tales of terror. Explore the depths of your imagination and the dark corners of your mind. Remember, a good horror story doesn't end. It lingers, leaving a chilling whisper in your ear about what if